PM. The city clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Doe is joining us remotely via Zoom.
I'm here.
Thank you. Councilmember Ho,
Here.
Councilmember Nguyen,
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Manzo,
I'm here.
and Mayor Ta will be joining us
Yeah,
shortly.
shortly.
He's on his way.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, just one quick thing before you open for public comment.
Mhm.
Just want to recognize the fact that on the agenda, we have, on the closed session agenda, we have 4 items, 4 cases. The names of the cases are correct as well as the case number, but as part of the case number on items 2, 3, and 4, the very last letters indicate CJC, which is the Central Justice Center. Those cases are actually in the North Justice Center, which is NJC. So I wanted to make sure that's clear. There's sufficient information on here. What's required is substantial compliance under the Brown Act.
Okay.
This is enough to indicate those cases, but somebody had pointed that out and I want to make sure that's clear for the record.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. So members of the audience can have enough information to speak on it if they wish. Thank you. I'd like this time I'd like to open for oral communication.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We do have one person with their hand raised, Westminster Watchdog. You may unmute yourself and begin.
Good evening, Terry Raines, Westminster. Well, here we are again with, count 'em, 4 ongoing police department employee lawsuits on tonight's closed session agenda, all of which were filed in 2019, over 3 years ago. The location portion, as mentioned, of the case numbers are incorrect for some of the items listed. It appears the courts have consolidated these cases, Fletcher with Ettinger and Noah Hayes with Flores. I purchased many of the court documents for these cases over the last 3 years. The court docket for the Flores case shows verdict received several times. It does not appear to be over yet because the most recent verdict form I purchased is just another blank version of a special verdict form filed by the city. To me, it seems unusual to have so many revisions to a special verdict form submitted by the defendant, but I am not a judge. It also looks as though counsel for both sides are now arguing on how the verdict should be reached for each cause of action. But given the many mistakes made by attorneys representing our city in prior employee lawsuits, verdict forms, and case outcomes, I guess it makes sense. So it does appear that the Flores case is close to concluding if it hasn't already, and perhaps Noah Hayes' case will also be resolved at the same time. We, the residents of Westminster, demand the city attorney's office present a full report to the city council and the public during an open public meeting as to the outcome of this case and the total cost to the city, with a breakdown of how much, if any, was covered by insurance and how much was not. Maybe this was explained before, but Flores was a plaintiff along with Perez and Rees in a huge case against the city and several police chiefs years ago. In 2014, the jury awarded the officers a total of $3.341 million in general and punitive damages, and the court awarded $3.286 million in attorney fees, $40,000 in expert fees, and $18.7 thousand in costs. The case was appealed to the United States Court of Appeals, 9th Circuit, and in 2017, the appeals court upheld most of the original verdict and damages awarded. Yet this new case was filed by Flores in 2019. Can the same employees sue again for the same causes of action, or were they different ones for this case? There was a miscellaneous hearing scheduled yesterday for the Ettinger case, which presumably was also for the Fletcher case. There are 2 motion for summary judgment and or adjudication hearings, maybe one for each plaintiff, and another motion hearing scheduled for February 1st, 2023. Then another miscellaneous hearing on February 21st, a mandatory settlement conference on March 17th, a pretrial conference on April 7th, and finally a jury trial set to start on April 10th, almost 4 years after the case was filed. Speaking of huge employee lawsuits against the city, the current warrant register item 3.2 on tonight's regular agenda for just 2 weeks totals a whopping $3.8 million, of which $2.25 million is towards settling a water department employee, Eliyahu, I don't know how to say his name, Cortez Levy's lawsuit against the city. Last summer, the city ordered Levy to undergo extensive psychiatric and background evaluations as part of the court case that seemed unreasonable and desperate to me, and I guess that backfired. Mr. City Attorney, again, we, the residents of Westminster, demand a full report on the outcome of that case and the total cost of the city, with a breakdown of how much, if any, was covered by insurance and how much was not, regardless if the terms of the settlement are sealed or not. We deserve to know. Westminster voters literally just saved the city from bankruptcy by approving Measure Y, only to see millions go out to pay off these lawsuits. The only relief in sight is that we finally have a chief of police that will not put up with illegal or discriminatory practices and shenanigans happening in the department. And we finally, I hope, also have a real HR department and director that will hopefully handle employee complaints swiftly and fairly, which should stop or at least reduce the number of million-dollar lawsuit payouts. I know HR and the PD are working together to improve and revise employee policies, which is great, but policies are only effective if they are adhered to and strictly enforced, which has not been the case in our city historically. I will end this comment with a simple statement. Do better, Westminster.
Thank you. The next speaker is Camila Overbeek. Please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Good evening, Council. Christian, thank you for that clarification. I know it was a little bit extra, but details do matter. So I do appreciate you taking the time to clarify that. All I want to say with regard to these lawsuits is I think that with the new management that the city has, Christine, Adolfo, and obviously our new police chief, I think it's high time that we figure out how to settle these cases for a reasonable amount so that the city has an opportunity to move forward in a healthy manner and stop being held back by prior decisions and prior police chiefs. I do hope that this council will seek to try and end this. The amount of attorney fees that we have racked up as a city is astronomical. And it's high time to move forward and make everyone's life just a little bit easier and make sure that we're doing better moving forward. So please contemplate settling and have a wonderful time. And also, if we could stop being 20 minutes late when it comes to closed session or just starting meeting late, period, it's rather disrespectful to the public. Thank you.
And the next speaker is Amy Walsh. Please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Hi, I would like to echo some comments tonight. These court cases that we have on there for closed session, they've just been going on for so long and so long. And I would love to know that we can go in there, settle this, and start the new year like off on the right foot. New council, new year. Let's get all of the past issues done, taken care of, and move forward. After going over these cases and reading the info that I've been able to find on them, I mean, it just makes sense at this point for the city to settle, move forward, and then ensure that this type of situation does not happen again. So I just urge our city council to give direction to the city attorneys to settle and move forward. Yes, I mean, as far as I know, based on like my knowledge of lawsuits from being on the school board, the school district has insurance for lawsuits, as well as I'm assuming the city does too. I mean, if the district does, I'm pretty sure the city does. Thank God. So I'm hoping that they take care of this, which I'm thinking they should, because it's an HR thing, all of those cases. So I hope that we can move forward. And again, I just really want the council to keep that in mind, and let's fix the past, move forward in a positive direction. Pretty please. That's all.
And Vice Mayor, that concludes anyone else with their hands raised, and there are no more speakers.
All right, thank you. I'd like to, at this time, we'll be closing our communication and move to closed session.